Hi, this is Tracy Cottrell, and today I wanted to talk about taking responsibility. So, what made me want to talk about this is earlier today I was reflecting over some things that I've done in the past, and I went into the office today. So, I was on my drive, and every time I'm taking a drive, or every time I'm on the road, and it's like a long drive or something like that, I'm always pondering. Should I say pondering? I'm always putting things in retrospective, and I like to analyze how I behaved, how others around me have behaved, things that I've done. And this is going to sound really real silly, and I know I'm not the only person that does this, so that's the only reason I'm being this transparent. But sometimes when things happen in my life, I immediately want to blame other people. And I know you're probably thinking, what? You're Christian? I can't believe that. But no, seriously, like, I want to take responsibility for myself as well. But the initial reaction to certain things that I do, like, not in the heat of the moment. Like, in the heat of the moment, I'm like, okay, this is all my fault. I need to take responsibility. I need to do this, this, and this. Not even, I don't even consider in that moment that the other person could be completely wrong and they could be doing something wrong, because I used to have a tendency to jump to the worst conclusion about everyone. So I'm trying to work on giving people the benefit of the doubt. So it in this season has worked against me more than it's worked for me. Eh, can one person really count as worked against me? I don't know, but but I really just I have a tendency to push people away, and I have a tendency to just think the worst immediately at the beginning. And so I'm trying to, while I'm growing, while I'm turning into a better person, to let people in who deserve to be in my life, and to have really strict boundaries and standards so that the wrong people don't get in. And I pray, that God removes people from my life who shouldn't be there, and adds people in who should be in my life. I want to be this strong woman that I am, who has standards and who has God on her side. And I also want to be kind, but being kind does not mean being weak. And sometimes it's hard to find a really good balance between being kind and having a weakness, because sometimes when you're kind to people, they think that you don't have standards. Or if you're Christian, they think that that means you don't have standards. But being a Christian means that you should definitely have standards, because Jesus has standards. When they were acting out in the church, and they were gambling and doing all the other things that he said that they couldn't do, he was flipping over tables and everything. He was like, bro, this is unacceptable. Like, he was not just like, okay, I'm just gonna, because I'm a kind person, let me just allow people to do whatever they want, and I'm just gonna fall in line with what it is that the world wants to do, and not what it is that I know is the right thing to do, what is respectful to me, what is respectful to God. And that's how I'm trying to live my life. It's not always easy, because people will push you as far as they can to get, I don't want to say the worst out of you, but some people really will push you until you're at your worst, or until you're broken, or they try to break your spirit, break you being confident, or whatever else it is in your life. And sometimes it gets really hard. Like, I know I shared my experience with, just being out in the world and meeting different people, and how some people really will just try to break you or try to make you lower your standards for them. And they'll do it because, people will do what it is that you allow them to get away with. And it's really up to you to take responsibility and know that you deserve better, and have those standards there to protect you. Sometimes we forget that the standards are there to protect us, or if we forget the reason why we have standards, sometimes people will come in and they'll be able to push your bounds. They'll be able to make you bend your boundaries and lower your standards for them, because they think that you need them, or they think that because you're kind that you'll bend to their will, or they think that because, like, for me, I had so much going on, I never even focused on, having my standards. I mean, I had standards, but there was stuff happening that I let slide, but I didn't intentionally let it slide. I just had too much going on in my life to be focused on another person. And so, when it's funny, because when you finally get that time to just catch up, to finally, like, look at yourself in the mirror, to remember who you are. It's like, oh, what in the world was happening there? Like, I did what? And you don't even realize. It's almost like you're in this purpose fog, if I can say. So like, my main focus is God and my purpose, and everything else around me. Like, I make time for my family, I make time for my friends, and any other new person, like, work friend or something like that. I'm kind to them. And also, I have other things that are going on. So it's not just like I have a strict, like, oh, let me drop everything for this person. Like, I might drop some things for my family, and it's important things. It's not just they said to do something I can do any other day on the day that I have something else planned. It's just something that they really do need me for, and I'll be there. And so it's so it's so crazy because in my head, I went back and forth and I kept thinking, well, this person did this. And I just wanted to blame other people so badly. Like, well, my friends told me to do this, and this person, try to lower my standards here, or they try to push me out of my bounds and the boundaries that I had set around myself. They try to push past them so that I could bend to their will instead of being who I truly am. And it's not that they did it because they're a cruel person or they did it because whatever else. People will get away with as many things as they can, just like children and everything else. When I'm around like certain family members and stuff, and or around strangers, and they have their children there, when their children are doing certain things, it's usually because they've been pushing the boundaries over and over again until they get what it is that they want. And so, I mean, everyone does it. Sometimes I do it, not intentionally. Most of the time it's unintentional, but there are certain people in my life who, in the past, I would have like a friend or someone else, and I'd be like, I wouldn't like use them for anything, but you would know what you could get away with and what you couldn't. And I think that's how every person is, because being good all the time is really hard. It really is. And so, if there's a way in your life to make things a little easier in one area or another, why wouldn't someone take that? So it's not that they're doing it because they want to hurt you or break you sometimes. Sometimes it's just because that's what they've been allowed to get away with. And if every other area of their life is stressful, if something else is going on, and this is not for me to just categorize everyone as a bad person or a good person, or to say, let up on something that's a complete standard that really means a lot to you for someone else. It's just, you really have to, each situation is going to be a little different. You might have an idea of what it is that you want. If it is a real standard that really means something to you, and I'm not saying it has to be a certain way, like this day, this time, this person has to do this with 2 steps forward and 5 steps to the right, like nothing like that. But if it's something real that really does matter to you in your core, that's something you have a reason why, and that reason why is like, okay, this really matters to me because blah. And if that reason why is super duper strong, when the person comes up and they want to try to push you outside of your boundaries, when they want to try to make you lean into like what it is that makes them comfortable, what does it profit you to bend to someone else's will to do something that makes them comfortable when you feel uncomfortable? I don't want to be in another situation. And I know I say this a lot, but really, this is why it really matters to me so much. I don't want to be in another situation where I feel like I'm giving everything and getting nothing back. I don't want to be completely depleted for someone else while they have everything that they need. I don't want to be in a situation where I feel like I'm lowering myself to make someone else feel comfortable. Like, I think there could be a happy medium where both people feel comfortable, but I also don't know what that would look like. I've only been on the end of giving everything and getting nothing. I've never been on the reciprocity spectrum. I've never been in a situation where it's been healthy, where it's been give and take. I've never been in a situation like that. So I don't know what a true compromise looks like, or what it looks like to just be lowering your standards. So for me, it's really, really hard because I want to stick to my standards. I want to make God proud. I don't want to just be just like the world and society. I want to be different. I want to do more. I want to be more. And in order for me to be better and have different, I'm going to need to do things differently. So there's no example for what it is that I want for my life. I don't think there's any one person that could just say, oh, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and it would just make me feel comfortable. Or it would be exactly what it is that I need. And no person is perfect. So it's hard to find a balance where I can ask for what it is that I need in a respectful way while sticking to my standards and also not making someone else feel uncomfortable and doing the same thing to them that they're doing to me. So it's really difficult because I am a strong person. And when I say strong, this is what I mean. And I want to share this, but I really don't want someone to take me for granted or to try to use me because of me saying this. I do okay for myself. Like, I'm an average, mom who, just works really hard and God supplies my needs. I'm just going to put it like that. And so when I meet people, usually they want me to be more reliant on them. And I do need them for things and not like that. I mean, but I do need them for things, but a lot of people feel like I don't need them because I'm so self-sufficient, because I'm so independent. But just because I'm independent doesn't mean that I don't want to be interdependent with a man who is equally as strong. And I say strong because I have this power behind me, which is God. And so when it's something that I really truly want, I'm just like this is what I want to have it kind of person. And and of course with God's blessing, because in the past that didn't work out too well. So with God's blessing, and when I'm doing things in my life, I'm not doing it because I'm in competition with other women or other people in the world, or I want to make men feel a certain type of way. I literally am just trying to be the best version of myself and to be obedient to God and to just do the things that I need to do that will please him, to do the things that I need to do that will help generations that come behind me. And I'm not doing it because I want to make someone else feel badly because they're not doing all of the things that I'm doing. I'm doing it because I really do want to change generations. I want to change generational curses. I want to change the world. And I don't want to say that any woman or man, I should say women, because most men taking the lead is amazing. And I still would like to be led. I don't think that because I do okay for myself and because I have, God, the power of God behind me means that I need to be weak. I don't think it means that I need to be naive or just fall in line. I don't think it means that I need to weaken my stance or lower my standards just to allow someone else to lead. I think that they can lead if they're a leader, but not every person is going to be able to be a leader. Some people aren't there yet. Some people, I don't know. I just, it's so, it's weird to me because I know I definitely don't want to lessen myself for someone else. I don't want to do less than what I can do in my life because I want to make someone else feel comfortable. I don't want to ever quiet myself to make someone else feel bigger. Either they are bigger or they're not. And it's not to say that I want to be the person that just is in charge of everything. I really want the guy who, and I know God already knows this, he already got this on a list. It's already at an appointed time somewhere. I'm already doing this, walking around, because I know it's only a matter of time. and God saves the best for last. So I'm definitely ready to wait for that. I'm not I'm not trying to just rush into getting someone who is nothing like the person that I want. I don't want to settle for anything less than what God intends for me. I don't want I don't want a half of anything. And I know I say that a lot, but sometimes it's good to remind yourself what it is that you are and aren't going to settle for. What it is that you really need in your life, and what it is that where your purpose is leading you. If your purpose is leading you somewhere and the person can't can I say be there right beside you? When a person can't lead you, when a person can't be happy for you, then that might not be the person who could walk with you in your purpose, because this isn't the last blessing that God has for my life. This book is not the end. So if someone can't be happy for me in a moment like that, imagine me changing the world. That person would feel a certain type of way. And I would feel bad about being successful if I was with someone like that, because it would make me feel like I need to lessen myself to make them feel comfortable. And I don't want to ever have to do that, especially with all of the things that God's putting on my heart. If I, something that I tell myself, and I know people are going to say this sounds crazy, but the thing that keeps me motivated, that keeps me serving, is number one, God. And whenever I think about settling, or I think about someone saying something mean or disrespectful to me, or someone talking down to me, or saying something about like my appearance, and not an appearance in like a bad way, like in a manipulative kind of way. When they say things like that, the thing that I remind myself, so that I don't allow that to consume me, to make me into less than what God created me to be, is I remember that I'm not doing this just for myself. This isn't just about me. This is about God. This is about my purpose. This is about helping all of those other women and men. And they need me to do this. And I know you're saying need is a strong word, but there has to be someone willing to sacrifice, someone willing to put in the work, to change things. Because as long as we're sitting in limbo, as long as we are just staying in one place, as long as we're waiting for someone to come save us, or we're waiting for one person to start acting differently without being held accountable, we are going to be waiting a long time, and nothing is going to change. Things change when we do. We have to be the change that we want to see in the world. And I know I got that from a quote somewhere, but I don't know who said it, so I don't want to misquote. But we really do have to look within ourselves and see who we are. When I look at myself in the mirror and someone does something that is below my standards, or they try to make me lower my standards for them, when I truly have the time, and I know every morning I do positive affirmations and stuff like that, and you really do have to speak life into yourself and do your win list, and you really do have to say the I ams, to call on the name of God, to make sure that He gives you the strength in all the areas that you're weak, and some of the areas that you're strong, to keep them as strong as they need to be, to pull you through every level that life is going to take you through. I really, when I look in the mirror, when I have that moment to just kind of be still, to really just rest in what it is that God's doing in my life, when I'm in that in-between stage, I really take a look at myself in the mirror. I name everything that I like about myself. I name things inside and out, things that that I have, and things that God's given me, which is everything. But the things that like I can see on the outside, and things that I'm working on that I'm doing better at, and the things that God's working on the inside of me for, like things that I might be weak in, but I'm going to say they're going to be strong. I start speaking life into myself. I really look myself in the mirror and remind myself of who I am. Because if you don't know who you are, the world will be able to tell you who they want you to be. The guy that you're trying to get with will be able to tell you who he wants you to be. But that won't be the real you. The real you is who you are, who God created you to be. You cannot keep trying to please anybody else. You really do have to be content with yourself, like I talked about in the last video. You being content with yourself tells everybody else I can't use that word, and I don't use that kind of tone anyway. So I'm not gonna say that, but it pretty much tells everybody that I appreciate you saying whatever it is that you're saying, but I got this. Like, all right, we here. We're not worried about what's going on over there. I can't veer out of my lane. If I'm in a race with, and not all these other people. Let's say I'm in a spiritual race or I'm in a real life race, and we're just running beside each other. I can't go into the other person's lane and get disqualified because I'm trying to run their race for them. I can only do what I'm doing in my life. So everything that I'm doing, as long as I'm trying to do the best that I can, even when I mess up. Today, I wasn't in the mood, but well, my patience, my patience was being tested today, and I had to call on God for that because, woo. but but God was right there, and He pulled me through like He always does. And it's something about knowing that God is there with you that really does give you, He really does give you that strength that you need in that moment when you feel weak. And it's so amazing. He is just so amazing. I don't know how, I can't say that enough. I really can't, because He's constantly working on me and making me into something better. And it's funny because when I say people try to make you lower your standards, please don't take this as I'm like beating up on one person or something like that. This is everyone. Everyone that you meet will try to make you lower your standards for them. Every single person. This could be men and women. The man could say, "Oh yeah, I want to have a woman who, knows who she is, that is intelligent in this area, or I could take to this place and this place, or whatever else it is." Like not in a cynical kind of way, but in general, someone who has a good head on their shoulders. You're saying that, then you meet someone who pretends like they got a good head on their shoulders, but really they just want to use and manipulate you. But if you have at the beginning just been like, okay, do whatever you want, then the next thing you know, you're lowering your standards for them. If you're, I feel like I need to say this because I want women to know, and men, don't rush God. If God is telling you to wait on something, wait on it, because you need to be at the right headspace to deal with certain things in life. Sometimes when you do things in life and you lower yourself for someone else, it really will make you bend on a lot of areas that you wouldn't normally bend on. You're not able to focus, your mind's all over the place. People are using manipulation tactics or doing things to try to make you lower your standards, and you don't even realize it's happening because you're not in a place of your life where you're ready for a relationship or you're ready to talk to someone anyways. So when they're doing like the bare minimum, it's just like, okay, I really don't have time for this anyways. I'm good with just an occasional blah, because, and not in that way. I feel like I always have to say that because there's going to be that one person who thinks I mean something else. And I said a comment one day. I was at this place with some family members, and I try not to like specify exactly who it is, even though I have a bunch of different people that are that or whatever else. But I'm at this place and I'm talking to this person, and I say something. I mean it in the most non like that kind of way at all. I really meant it like a hug. Like, oh, it's good to have a hug. I didn't mean it like it's good to have other things. And so, mm, I'm just one of those people. Sometimes I say the wrong thing. I think everyone says the wrong thing sometimes. It just happens. And you can be as careful as you want to, but the way someone else interprets it is going to be how they intend to interpret it. It's not going to be how you want them to take whatever it is that you're saying. So now I'm like, oh my gosh, this person totally thinks that I'm just that type of person, and I did not mean it that way. I really, I really truly meant it in like a kind hearted way, like in just a normal way. Nothing else at all. Like I was like, oh goodness. And so oof, but it is really good when you when you need to take time for yourself, when you're so busy that you have so much going on and you know you don't have time to date or whatever else, don't date. Wait if God, especially if God is telling you wait 3 or 4 months, do what you got to do to wait, because I really, really wish that I would have took the 3 to 4 months that God told me to take, because I needed it for myself. I needed that time after exchanging those things with the ex. I needed that time when I was at the end of writing this book and going through like different editors and working with different publishers and all the other stuff and trying to find a good publication, and going through like formatting and like the several edits and 2 a.m. 2 a.m. nights, mornings, like several of those and all of the things that I was doing that, like, I wish people could have saw all of the things. I really did have to work for this. I really did have to be intentional and sacrifice things. I couldn't just be like, if people were like, "Oh yeah, let's go out such and such night," I might have hung out the following week or something else, but when I was pushing towards the end of this, I really had to give up a lot of things to be able to do that. I had to tell people, no, I can't hang out for the whole month of September. I really had to focus on my purpose. I had to focus on what it is that God was telling me to do. And I really, really, really wanted to do some of the things in September, but I couldn't. And I just, I'm at this stage of my life where I really want to mean what I say and say what I mean. And I'm trying not to come off as super harsh or not understanding or being facetious or nasty about it when I say it. I really want to be for real, but I also don't want to come off as like this crazy person who's saying things so intently that I'm making it seem like it's like life or that. So, but I also want to make sure that I'm taken seriously. I don't want to be a joke or a weak woman to anyone. And in order for me to do that, I have to stick to my guns. I have to be serious about what it is that I want. And I can't allow any person, no matter how cute they are, no matter what, I have to be real with myself, honest with myself. I have to get rid of things that shouldn't be in my life. But I just was like, it'll be fine because I'm not ready anyway, so it's good. And really, I need to do this the right way. I can't take any shortcuts. I can't have, for women, I know I talked about this before, but I really feel like it's important to say this, because if you do it the right way, when God blesses you, it'll be so much greater than it would if you take shortcuts and then have to go all the way back around and wait another couple of years because you wanted to be you wanted to be disobedient. And so I just want to let ladies and men know, if when you're really serious about looking for someone, I want to say be about that life, but if someone is allowing you to just give them the bare minimum, if they're not willing to stand up for themselves, then it's really hard to do the right thing when you can get something easy in that area of your life, especially when you have so much other stuff going on. And I can understand that. And sometimes it's just timing. Sometimes timing just never lines up right. And it's like everything else is happening, everything else is falling into place. It seems like everything's right, and it's just the wrong time. Like when I'm writing my book, or if I'm doing something else in my purpose. And one of my family members will say, well, it's never going to be the right time because you're always going to be working something. It will be the right time, and the person will be able to be a part of what my purpose is, because we'll align. We will be on the same page. When I'm working on my purpose, we'll be serving in similar areas. Or even if I'm doing my purpose, they'll be understanding. They'll know that, hey, this is for God. This is not something that's just taking time away from me. This is really something that she needs to do for God. And And I'm not saying that I would never be in a relationship because I'm in a purpose. I'm just saying that I don't want to rush into anything. Like, when I say rush, I feel like I have to stop saying that because things are going to happen on the timeline that God wants them to happen. And regardless if you say rushed or whatever else, if God says it's going to be 3 months and that's it, that's what it is. If God says it's going to be a day, it's going to be a day. If he says it's going to be 5 years, it's going to be 5 years. Whatever it's going to be, you can't tell God what time, what time he's going to allow things to happen in your life. And you have to be open to everything. You can't just block yourself off. You can't push people away. You can't just be vulnerable for to everyone. You can't allow people to have benefits of being with you when they're not with you. You can't have allow people to have anything that they haven't earned. And I really want to focus in this season on making sure that when people enter my life, they are really about that life. And I have to take full responsibility for my actions and what it is that I settle for, what it is that I let slide or whatever else. And instead of me just like replying right away or whatever else when I have the chance, I might take some time and really just think about what it is that I want to say in the most respectful way while being true to myself instead of just trying to make sure that the other person is comfortable. Because sometimes when you start living for other people or doing things to make other people feel comfortable, it's taking away from you. And I understand being kind to other people and considerate of other people's feelings. That's totally understandable. But don't be kind and considerate to someone else's feelings when you're negating your own, when you are acting as if things don't matter to you or it's not really important to you that really are. Because if you pretend like you're okay with things right now at the beginning, it will always be like that. And can you live with that? I couldn't live with a situation like that. I would really need to feel like I'm being poured into and be pouring into someone. I can't just pour into someone and they drain everything from me and I'm getting nothing in return. Like, I really want to be respected and appreciated. And in order for me to be appreciated, I'm going to have to do things differently. I'm going to have to be different. I'm going to have to really speak up for myself and speak up when it comes to things that really truly matter to me. It doesn't mean that I need to have a rebuttal for everything and just be constantly nagging or acting as if it's my way or the highway. I really need to be straight up and honest and in a loving and kind way. It's not that I have to get nasty with anyone or raise my voice or change into this person that I'm not. I can completely be myself and still speak up for myself. And if something truly matters to me, it's funny because my therapist said this one day when I was talking about something else. It wasn't about guys, it was about something else. But she said that now I just lost it. But it was something about something truly mattering to you. Mm, it was something about like people making what you want feel as if it's irrelevant or something. I can't remember how it went. And I'll probably remember it later and be like, oh, yeah. But it's really true that you really do have to speak up for yourself because the more you sacrifice yourself for someone else, the less of you will be there. It's kind of like imagine a picture that's colored in, and every time you lessen yourself, every time you lower your standards, every time you give someone else what they want, it erases a part of the picture that's colored in. Eventually, when you keep giving to someone else that's not pouring into you, you keep changing yourself for someone else, you keep bending, folding, lowering your standards for other people, there's nothing left but a faded mark. You're still there. You can kind of see like the colors and stuff that were in there, but part of part of that whole picture has disappeared because you're not true to yourself. You're not being who you truly are. And when you stand in who you are, when you really are being yourself, when you are real with yourself, you're honest, when you're honoring yourself, you are that bright picture. You're that picture that's fully colored, that is fully everything that it was intended to be. by the artist, by the creator. See how I did that? And so I'm not saying that you should give people a hard time and make them jump through a bunch of hoops for you. I don't believe in that. And I believe that there is a real thing such as a compromise. But for me, I don't know what a compromise looks like because in the past, all I've done is just lower myself for someone else. I've never had to be in a position where I was compromising about something that could be a compromise, not just bending and lowering my standards. So it's really, in real life, it's hard. In theory, it's like, oh yeah, this, and this. But when you truly have your emotions or your heart in whatever it is that you're doing, like it could be a job, it could be a friendship, it could be a potential person or whatever else. And I'm not saying your heart is already in it, like you just fell for someone, because you don't fall. You love is intentional. It's not a fall. And I think that a lot of movies have made us believe that you just fall and the person that helps you up is the one, or something like that's super unrealistic like that. In reality, it really is an intentional thing that you're doing. It's intentional. For me, it would be intentional for my mission, for my purpose. It would be an intentional partnership where I can be interdependent. It would be something that would give glory to God. And we would lift each other up, pour into each other. We would, I want, I know this sounds so unrealistic, but I want the type of relationship where I don't feel stressed. I know there's going to be things that happen in life that will, heighten your senses and make you feel a certain type of way and things like that. But I don't want to be intentionally adding stress into my life for no reason. I want to live as peaceful of a life as I possibly can. I don't want to, and the thing that makes me feel the most peace is when I say what it is that I truly desire, what it is that I want or I need. Someone listens to me. I mean, they can like try it and see if they can like get away with it, and then I stick to my standards, and they know like I'm really not playing, and then and it could be fine. I really don't want to feel stressed because I'm not taking responsibility for myself, and I allow someone to constantly get away with something that I'm not okay with. And the next thing you know, I'm stressed out every day because I'm pretending I'm okay with something that I'm not okay with, because I'm bending to be something that I'm not. I'm not a weak woman. I'm not a woman who just wants to have people run all over top of her. I'm not the type of woman who just wants to lower her standards just to have someone. I'm not the type of woman who just wants to bend to someone else's will, or to to become this person who I haven't been. I want to be the person that God created me to be. I want to be, in order for me to speak life into all these people, I can't be in a broken state speaking life into the people around me. There are people who truly need me, and I had my moments these past like 3 or 4 months. You saw in the videos, and it was just emotional, mental, spiritual warfare, like really ripping at me. But there were people who really did need me during that time, and I couldn't be there for them. And it really broke my heart because I was doing things on my time and not God's time. And I don't think people understand that when they pull something away from you, it takes away from something else. It's a domino effect. It's not just like, oh, I did this one thing and it's great, everything's amazing, and I got what I wanted. It's like, it really is like, then it weakens someone's self-esteem, or it weakens their mindset. It it pokes holes in the vision that God has given that person, because instead of them being strong, instead of them being standing flat-footed and in faith and hopeful, they feel like their faith is is wavy. They feel like it's just as if it's like a feather. Do I want to say feather? Like the wheeling arms, inflatable, whatever thing that is there. It's like that's what your faith feels like when people come and try to poke holes in your self-esteem or your personality, or try to make you lower who you are, or try to tell you that you're something that you're not, or try to make you into this weak person who I'm not. And instead of me being strong enough to be able to carry the burden of other people around me, I wasn't even strong enough to hold myself during that time, while I had to keep speaking life into myself and reading and being in my Bible more and all that other stuff. That pulled away from me being able to pour into other people who actually needed me. And I know people are selfish, because we're all selfish in one way or another, even though, we do nice things for people or whatever else. And I know some people will disagree and say, I'm not selfish. But when you think about most things in your life, when you think about giving somebody something, how many people really are like hesitant, like, do I really have to give away this 100, or whatever it is? Do I really have to give away these shoes or these clothes, or you got that one pair of jeans that just fits you so perfect. Like, you know what I'm talking about, women, ladies. I'm gonna say ladies because I feel like that's more like, because we're being ladylike and we want to be treated like ladies. We want to act like ladies. We want to present ourselves as if women, as women of God. And so I really just want us to be our best, and to not let anything else come in our life and stop us. Not allow. And the bad thing is, when you're Christian, you think that every bad thing is the adversary, but sometimes the bad thing is just God testing you to show that your true alliance, to show that you are really about that life, that you really got his back, that you really in it, you in there, like, like. And if you don't have his back, if you allow the adversary to just bring you down, or if you allow the test to trip you up or stop you, it's showing that your alliance to God is not as strong as it should be. And so I think it's really important for us to remember that when we are on this journey, when we are doing the things that we need to do in life, we are focused on God. We're focused on being the best version of ourselves, and we're speaking life into ourselves. We are really, really telling ourselves who we are and believing it. Don't just pretend like at the beginning, when you're first healing, you might have to say a couple lies to yourself. Like, oh, you got this. And meanwhile, you like this, like, oh, I don't know, man. But you need to just keep on believing it. Keep on doing your win list. Keep on, and for men too, keep on making a win list of the things that you've accomplished, because while the world is trying to tell you that you're nothing, when the world is trying to take things away from you and make you feel like you're unimportant, you are the head of the house. You are literally the leader. And in order for us to have good men that are going to really be able to lead us, we're going to have to take responsibility, and we're really going to have to step up. We're going to have to remember who we are and not allow the world to tell us that we're not good enough because we are a woman or a man. We're going to have to really be about that life. And it's not always going to be easy. And I think it might just have to start with all of us taking responsibility. And, I never want the videos to go long. And the videos, I have to reiterate this because people end up watching the video that I don't even think are going to watch it. Like, I'll have people who come watch it, and then I'll have some new people that'll watch the videos or whatever. And it's not like I got 100,000 people or 1,000,000 people or anything like that. And it doesn't matter about the numbers. What matters is that the message is getting relayed, and that everything that God is intending for me to say, that's put on my heart, things that I've learned throughout the day, things that I feel like have helped me that might help someone else, I am saying it, and I'm serving his people. That's the main purpose. It's not about anything else but God. And so I feel like I always have to say this, because sometimes people that I wouldn't even expect to watch my videos or whatever else end up watching it. And they'll say something, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope I didn't hurt their feelings or say something wrong or make them feel a certain type of way. But I'm not saying it to please, I'm not doing this video to please them. And I'm also not doing it to tear them down. I'm doing it because I've been through certain things in my life, and I really do want to help and serve God's people. It has nothing to do with trying to make anyone feel badly about anything that they've done, because we all make mistakes. We all do things wrong. We do things right. Sometimes we do what we can, like what other people allow us to do. That's just normal human nature. It's not that you're a bad person because you do that. That's just, it is what it is. And so I wanted to make sure that I say that because I don't want any person who watches this to think that my intention is ever to hurt anybody or to make someone feel a certain type of way or to just be, I never say names or anything like that. And sometimes I do say, I'll say family member or whatever, but I try not to say the name of the person. But I also want to make sure, and I also want to make sure that I am being helpful in one way or another. Like, I don't have it all figured out. I'm just learning just like everyone else. My main goal is just to serve. And I really do feel like some of the things that I went through in life will help people. Like when I talked about dating and stuff like that. People who are healing that are about to date are really going to think that they're going to be arrogant. They're really going to be out here like, that'll never be me. You know how it is. I always talk to women, but seriously, we'll be in a group of women or something and a guy will do something or whatever else and we'll be like, girl, I would never put up with that or whatever. Like we really try to act like we about that life when our heart's not in it. And in theory it sounds so good and we really sound like we big and bad. And I do want to be about that life and I want to stick to my standards and I want to adhere to what it is that God wants for my life and make sure that I'm not settling for anything less and I'm honoring myself. And I also need to make sure that we're honest with ourselves and know that we are going to be vulnerable and we're not going to 100% do everything right the first time. We're not going to make the best decisions. Some stuff is going to slide because we got other stuff going on in our life. We don't have a chart of of red flags or like things that will push you outside of your bounds or how you should respond in this situation. Like every scenario is going to be different. So it's really just a life lesson, something that you have to learn. It's not something that you're just going to wake up and know. So do not, and I'm telling you, I have to repeat it, do not beat yourself up for letting things slide that you were not paying attention to. Sometimes we just don't see it. Sometimes we really do have just other stuff going on, and that's not our main concern. I mean, our main concern should be being respected. But if I'm being honest, when I was focused on the book, when I had all this other stuff going on, my main focus was God and my purpose. It was not what another individual is doing in their life for me or, in respect to me. It was just about me respecting myself, working on myself, and being all over the place, focusing on what it is that God had me to do. I was not thinking about what someone else should or shouldn't be doing. That's like that was the last thing that I was worried about. And so for me, sometimes the adversary will try to play in my head and be like, "Oh yeah, you didn't even catch this. You didn't even see this. Oh, this happened and this person did this and you didn't even say anything. You just let it slide or you just whatever." And ladies, men, should I say men because men got this. They could do they really have I don't want to say all the power because women have power as well. We just don't use it to the extent that we could. And I just, oof, we need a lot to make sure that we can do everything that we need to do to protect ourselves. Like, I don't know if I would suggest if you get a text message, wait a second, take a moment, like go over the situation, think about it, and then respond, or what? Or if you get a phone call or whatever else it is. Like, I don't know what I would suggest that you do because I do everything wrong for the most part. I really, and you should have saw me when I was about to be out here. Like, I was really like, oh, I got this. I'm gonna do this way. I'm gonna do that way. I'm not putting up with this. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do that. Oh, I got my standards. I know the reason why. I'm good to go. I don't have to worry about anybody taking advantage of me and or walking all over me or trying to get me to lower my standards because I know what my standards are. And I promise you it's not going to look like anything that you train for. Everything that you told yourself you're not going to you're not going to fall for it. It's going to be something totally different, something that you didn't even expect. It's like when you get that pop quiz and you've been studying other material and then you get the pop quiz and you fail because the 5 questions on the study guide were on the test and you didn't know they were going to be on there. That's exactly what real life is like, because every single scenario is different. And even though there's a guide of how you feel about yourself and your standards, people will try different things. And sometimes it's not always obvious. Even though, like, other men will see it and they'll be like, oh, they're totally doing this. For women, because we're so emotional, because we lead with love and everything else, we really do feel like, I don't know how to describe it, but we have this like soft spot for love. And so while men are just more like in theory, like we like to be when we see other women in relationships, that's how men are all the time. And so when we get in a situation, it's more like we're already leading with love. So when things happen, it's kind of like, and I mean, you could tell yourself anything you want. You could say, this doesn't matter. You could say, I don't know this person. This is the level that we're at right now. I don't really, this matters nothing to me, until you get in a situation where you are weakened for a period of time, or you feel a certain way. Like, we can't control our hormones or our emotions at all. When we feel a certain type of way, it happens. That's just it. And so I think that men are really lucky, and that when they feel a certain type of way, they can easily mask how they feel in those situations where we would be more emotional. So for us, it gives the adversary, it gives people willing to prey on us, it gives other people who are trying to play games, or people who are trying to see how far they can push you or make you lower your standards or manipulate the situation. It gives them that opportunity, because while we're in our feelings, they're already thinking of the next strategy, if that makes any sense. So be really careful, women. Please be careful. I know I say that a lot, but it doesn't matter who it is, nice, mean, stubborn, whatever personality trait it is that the guy has, you really have to be careful. You have to protect yourself, because the only person that's protecting you is God and you. And when you don't listen to God, it will allow the adversary an avenue to be able to attack you in different areas that he wouldn't have been able to otherwise. When you have God in your life, you give him the gift of discernment. But sometimes in our mind, when we've already made up what it is that we want, it's hard to see the red flags. And if God is telling you to wait, please, in Jesus' name, wait. Wait. I cannot say wait enough. I only say it because I've been there, but I promise you, you waiting on God is well worth it than you trying to do something on your own, because if you don't have God in your corner, it leaves you so vulnerable to attack. There are so many things that are going to get past you that should have never made it to the next level. There are going to be so many words, so many phrases, so many actions that are going to seem as if it's nothing. They're going to seem like so small, but in reality, they tell everything, because actions speak louder than words. And and even though we're saying, oh, okay, they said this, and this, what are they doing? Are they doing what they said they're going to do? Are they really about that life? And even though in your mind you've already created this story, or you already have, some sort of care or whatever else, it doesn't matter if the person does not respect you. The worst thing that someone could do is not appreciate or respect you, for men and women. If you're not being appreciated or respected, you might as well throw away the whole relationship. You know where I got that from. But seriously, you might as well just move on with your life, because it's not going to do you any good to be in a situation like that where you're being unappreciated, and the person is unappreciative. It's going to make you feel less than and unworthy and insecure and jealous, and all the thoughts that the adversary wants to put in your mind with the mental warfare that you have are going to take over, because you're not getting what you need. And it's, how you have positive reassurance or affirmation? That's like the negative affirmation that you need when a person doesn't appreciate or respect you. So really be careful with your mind, your body, and your soul while you're out there. Don't get arrogant and feel like you got this, because you don't. You might be confident, you might know who you are, but you'll be surprised what the adversary can do with just a little opening. You'll be surprised what a person can do when you lower one standard, or when you let something slide that you know should not have slid. Anything that you do that is below God's standards is not good enough for you. It's not. And so no matter what your feelings are, where you feel emotionally, how many years you have in, if you don't feel, should I say the peace? Because I don't know what a healthy relationship feels like. But if you know that you have more sad days than happy days, if you know that you feel like you're not being appreciated or respected, if you feel like you're less than or unworthy, if you feel like you're being manipulated, if you have to go back and forth about the person and make up excuses of why they should be in your life when really you know they shouldn't, if you have some bad feeling and you just can't quite put your finger on it, and you just feel like, well, that wasn't really that bad, it's probably because what's coming next is going to crush you. You don't even understand how much worse it could get. And so you really have to be mindful of how you're living your life and the things that you're doing. And I get real brave sometimes. Sometimes I get really brave and I'm just like, I'm gonna say this, and this. But I also want to make sure that when I want to say this, and this, I'm not coming off as disrespectful or rude. I still want to say how I feel about things, but I don't want to make it seem like it's my way or the highway, or make it seem as if I'm really trying to be rude to someone else when they don't know me like that. I also want people to know the real me. I don't want to pretend to be someone else just to make someone else feel comfortable either. So finding that balance is what I'm working on in this season, is because I'm content with myself. I love my hair in every stage. I like the complexion of my skin. I like the clothes and the fashion items that I wear and put together. I like my organization. I like my relationship with God. I'm appreciative of all the things that I have in my life and grateful for everything. I know who I am. I know who I want to become. And I say it in two separate things because I am a woman of God. I am an entrepreneur, a writer. I am a life coach. I am a speaker. I am confident and smart and intelligent. I say smart and intelligent every time because I gotta put it on there twice. And I'm a person who has a good spirit, a kind spirit, and really does lead with love and kindness. That's who I am. Who I'm becoming is a woman that's gonna change the world. I'm becoming someone that God can trust. I'm becoming someone who is obedient and willing to sacrifice. So that's why I say who you are and who you're becoming. I know exactly what I want. I know exactly who I am. Now, here's the kicker. When you're strong like that, you have to know that when you want something, I have to know how to be able to say it in a respectful way. Because I don't want to be that person that says something and it comes off rude because I know what it is that I want. I also don't want to be that person that's like, here's the guidelines for being in my life. I want to be like, this is what I would really appreciate. And if they can't do it, they might not be able to be in my life, especially if it's a standard they can't be in my life. Because there are certain things that you can't compromise on. And my dignity, my honor, my self respect is something that I can't compromise on. And it doesn't matter who the person is or who they know or where I met them or whatever else. It doesn't matter. None of that matters if they don't respect me as a person. If they don't respect my opinion or how I feel about things, then how can I ever feel comfortable enough to trust them? How can I ever feel comfortable enough to feel vulnerable around them? I won't be able to. And so things like that that are truly important deep down in my soul that really mean the world to me is something that would make me just be like, I'm out. And it's not always easy because if it's the adversary, he sends you things that you really, really, really want. And when it's God, it could be a test. Or if it's the real thing, you still have to respect yourself. If you're willing to make someone else an idol, which, you dishonoring God and settling for things that God didn't intend for your life is you dishonoring God. I don't want to do that. I want to honor God in every relationship in my life, work relationship, friendship, and potential romantic relationship. I have to honor myself. And you really truly, for men and women, you really truly have to love yourself more than you like the person, more than you like their attitude or their smile or the way that they make you feel. Because you could feel, you could have the sun on your skin and feel happy. Like, you know what I'm saying? So you really have to know who you are and know that regardless of how you feel about something, you have to make sure that you are being appreciated, that the actions line up with the words, that you're getting the things that you need and not just the things that you want or your preference, but a real standard. And I think I said in conclusion, take responsibility for yourself. Sometimes people just want to get away with what they can because you allow them to, and not because they're just a bad person. So instead of always putting the blame on someone else in your family, like, well, they never took me to such and such classes. That's why I never became a ballerina or whatever else it is. Like, it's easy to blame them at the beginning, but you're past your childhood. Now it's time for you to accept the responsibility for your life. It's time for you to accept the fact that you have let things slide, and that's why the person acts like that. It's time for you to accept the fact that you are the one who lowered your standards for someone else, and that's why the person doesn't have respect for you or honors you or appreciates you or treats you the way that you need to be treated. And it's so easy to say, my ex did everything wrong. It's so easy to say, my parents didn't do this for me. It's so easy to say, well, my job overlooked me for a promotion. But that's not the only promotion you can get. Your parents may have stopped you from doing some things, but you're an adult now. You can really do whatever you put your mind to if you believe in yourself. When you're in that relationship, the person will respect you as much as you respect yourself. If you have no respect for yourself, then they will not respect you. And you have to always remember who you are and remind yourself every morning, every night. Stay prayed up, stay in your Bible, stay close to God, and keep discernment. Like, ask God for discernment so that He can tell you what it is that you need to know. Make sure that you know exactly where it is that you're headed in life, because a lot of people that come into your life won't even make it past that stage of you just having a normal conversation because they're not even aligned with the vision that you have for your life. Some people may be aligned with your vision, but they will, I don't know how to put this. Sometimes you'll meet someone, everything seems like it lines up, but are you telling yourself that it lines up, or does it really line up? When it comes to them respecting you, do they really respect you? And if the answer is no, then you have your answer.